A very good morning to you all. Welcome to Sunrise Daily. This lovely Tuesday morning, I am Chamberlain.
Good morning. I'm Maokwe Ogunyusu.
Well, we're live in Lagos as well. Welcome to the breakfast show, Sunrise Daily. I'm Kayode Okikiru.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Also reporting from Lagos. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily on Channels Television. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think one thing that keeps... What I think we should pick up is if you just cast your mind back, I think more often than not lately, from the president now, he has, and he's been consistent with this, promising a free and fair, a credible process for the election. So almost at every point in time, you just hear it. And sometimes to the extent that you just feel, yeah, you know, some may dismiss that with a wave of hand. But at the same time, when you sit back and wait a minute, he's been consistent about this for a while now. Lately at the ECOWAS summit, he also did say, yes, there will be, he's committed to this free and fair elections in the country, and not just in Nigeria, but in West Africa. But I think for us here in the country, that is incredibly important. We may gloss over it now, but there's huge implications for that because he cannot be seen. Yes, I know he's a member of a political party with the ruling party, and he has to be, well, seen, or he has to support his party's candidate. That's normal. That's how it normally should be. That's how they expect it to be. But at the same time, he has to find a way to ensure that his office is not dragged into all of those, so that people can separate his office and him being the leader of their political party. That is important to everyone if he keeps saying, well, there will be credible process, committing himself to a credible process. That is appreciated. I think he also appreciates that because having gone through the courts, remember he claimed several times he was robbed, so he understands how that is important. He also was incredibly grateful, and I think was surprised initially too when former President Jonathan called him and said, look, this is how it's got to be, congratulating him and things like that. So I think he wants to ensure that if that is the only thing he ever does, he wants to make sure that that process is credible. But I say that is important because thereafter, now the process has got to be seen to be credible because this time it's unique. We have candidates from almost the 3 major regions, and the tendency is there for people to support them based on that. Look, anybody can support any of their candidates, whatever reason. They have a right to do that. But it's important for us also to know that after the elections, we still have to have a country. I'm talking about the importance of us focusing on the possibility of post-election violence. Now, all of these things are important. We've seen how certain things are being conducted now. The National Peace Committee has raised the alarm. INEC offices, INEC themselves have raised concerns. So now it's up to us all, security agencies, the media, you and I, to ensure that whoever wins, that spirit of sportsmanship has got to be elevated higher than we have ever seen it, such that no one takes advantage of our fault lines and stokes some violence after the elections. Call it be futuristic, I don't mind.
It's very important, Chamberlain, quite a number of things that you have laid out. I mean, the president talking constantly about free, fair and credible elections.
Yeah.
I think perhaps one of the things that we should be asking if we get a chance is what elements does he hope to see infused into the polls, which he believes will make it free, fair and credible? What aspects of it is he very convinced about? But in the absence of that, perhaps we can begin to list a few for the president to say, Mr. President, since this is what you desire, since you desire that we have free, fair, and credible elections, these are some of the elements. We've been told by INEC that it's a multi-stakeholder election, much as we want INEC to be free from political influence. In other words, you know, the appointments to INEC, I think we're already past that now, you know, must be seen to be choices that people can say, indeed, having this person here, this person is a credible person, this person is a person with integrity. So far, so good. The people at INEC, I don't think people have raised objection with either the chairman of the commission or the national commissioners. They have conducted themselves as people who are above board. So far, so good. Yeah. We also see that the resident electoral commissioners, a lot of them have also, you know, try to conduct themselves with a lot of integrity. So maybe in the area of appointment, and in the places where, you know, some appointments, you know, raised eyebrows, you know, they were, I don't want to say roundly rejected in the Senate, but I mean, it was not the sort of rejection, it was not on the grounds that people thought they were going to be rejected, that they were rejected on what. Hey, nonetheless, it didn't scale through. So that's that. Then we now talk about ensuring that INEC gets the required funds that it needs. INEC hasn't complained about that, so they seem to have that already, and they seem to be working based on what they have. But then there is something, or there is an aspect which the president is directly concerned with, which is the area of security. I mean, we always say the president is the commander-in-chief, and we've been seeing in recent times INEC offices being burnt. And from what we can see, it does appear to be an orchestrated plan. This is totally unacceptable. The fact that, you know, we're seeing so many arsons, you know, incidents around INEC offices, and they appear targeted. So I want to believe that the president will, you know, look into that. That should call for concern, especially from the security being provided around INEC offices. We're just about to enter December. These elections are going to be conducted in February and March. So if we're already beginning to see this sort of trend, we have to find a way to ensure that it is nipped so that we do not witness many more incidences. And then we should be able to take, I want to believe that INEC will do that, take stock of what exactly has been affected here, because no excuse would be acceptable to the Nigerian people for not conducting free, fair, and credible elections. So there will also be, Mr. President, what exactly you're also hoping to put in place, you know, post the election. We have witnessed post-election violence in this country. It has not been pretty. It's something that we cannot afford. Are there areas where he would like to, you know, speak to personally? Or are there areas where he's working on personally to ensure? Because that will all be a part of the process. You know, after we have had free, fair, and credible elections, I mean, at least elections that appear that way to most people, hopefully that should not spark violence. But assuming some people decide to be mischievous anywhere and, you know, decide to foment trouble, we need to know that there are plans on the ground to ensure that, you know, those plans are foiled. So I think that whilst we will ask the president what elements are important to him and what he's looking at more specifically, I do think that Nigerians now need to begin to set an agenda to say, Mr. President, these are the areas that we would like you to look into and to, you know, put your foot down on, to say that, you know, certain things would be totally unacceptable or, you know, will be totally intolerable. We will not accept such behaviors, or we will not accept to see such things. So let us hope that the president matches action with words. Yeah. He's not a man for many words, we know, but we also want to believe that in the process that there will be plenty of action to match with the words. I'm not going to say that this is just the president speaking. This is not just the politician. These are words that we intend to take as we go into the polls. The standards have already been set, Chamberlain, and they've been set, the bar has been set pretty high by President Goodluck Jonathan. So let us hope that maybe President Buhari will be able to at least meet or at least surpass that particular. Let us see how he does that with his promise of free, fair, and credible election. Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see you back, Bukola.
Absolutely, it's good to see you back.
Yes, indeed.
Well. I mean, what more can we add to all of the things you have said? The president's words: free, fair. transparent and smooth transition process. That was what the president promised yet again yesterday. And while we would ask questions, what does that mean? What does it look like? Because, I mean, our election process has been evolving, as they always say. We're getting better by the day. So what is that goal? What is the standard? And various studies have been conducted, just maybe to help Nigerians this morning. So you know what to look out for so we can judge the elections, the coming election. By the way, it's not just February 25th that you would say that used to determine whether the election was free, fair, transparent, and all of that. It starts all the way back. And some of the, factors, some of the dimensions of free, fair, transparent elections include the legal framework. Well, we have the Electoral Act 2022 in place already, so perhaps we've done some work in that one. There's electoral management as well. Mark talked about independence of INEC, the appointments and all of that, whether INEC is indeed independent, big questions. There's also the dimension of electoral rights. One that touches, or that is very prevalent right now, is the voter register. That's also another dimension, with the controversy raised about the content, or at least the makeup of the voter register and all of that. Talks about ballot access, campaign process, which we're in right now. Are they dealing with issues? Have we seen violence and all of that? Can we really say the campaign has been effective, has been fruitful or productive? There's also media access. That's another dimension to this voting process. That's the 8th dimension. The role of officials. Very important. INEC officials, ad hoc officials, and all of that. Are they independent indeed? Are they free from interference? And of course, the counting of votes, which is a big one. IREV. Recall all of those conversations. We'll walk you through them today, but it's important to keep our eyes on those dimensions so we know how to rate this election, whether indeed it has been, or it will be, free, fair, and transparent. And one more thing I'll need to add is, for the supporters of the different, parties, I think it is important to start preparing your minds, okay? I mean, if we're saying by the polls there are, 4, leading parties, it's controversial, yes, but that means your candidate has just 25% chance of winning. So you need to start making up for the 75% eventuality. If your candidate does not win, are you prepared for that? Do you have a mental preparedness for that? Because it is not win or win, really. It's actually win or lose, and you need to prepare for that eventuality. Bukola.
Yes, indeed, Kade. Thank you for laying out, all of the theoretical aspects, and we hope to see it in practice as it begins to play out, especially in the run-up to the elections. We have just, 2 months away now.
About 88 days.
But then again, Chamberlain may have committed the president, to what would be his commitment to a transparent and free and credible election in 2022, when he said that the president must be willing, when he recalled that, former President Goodluck Jonathan congratulated him back then in 2015 when he won the election. So we're hoping to see same also of Mr. President, particularly because he has said time again and again that he's willing to leave a legacy, of credible election in 2023. So whoever wins in 2023, be it the PDP, be it the Labour Party, be it APC, Mr. President, well,
or the 15 other parties.
or the 15 other parties. We're hoping that Mr. President will make that call, demonstrate that spirit of sportsmanship, make that call and congratulate the next president. To back up some of the things that you have laid out, we're looking at neutrality. Mark talked about the neutrality of INEC officials, how they have demonstrated, their independence so far. Also, the security agents, we must see them to be neutral in this election. We're hoping that we're not going to be hearing allegations of, some being under the payroll of certain state governments, or reports of vote buying coming in and security agents are looking the other way. We must see, that security officials are above board, just as INEC officials are above board in this election. Also, beyond laying out, the possibility of post-election violence in 2023, we want to see that, as much as possible, premium is placed on security of lives and property beyond the election. We're looking forward to a time in Nigeria where elections will not be militarized, where we're not hearing that, thousands of security officials are deployed for the election.
Right.
But then again, the same premium is not placed on lives and property beyond the election. So beyond, the expectations and preparations for the prevention of post-election violence in 2023, we're hoping that that same premium will be placed on lives and property in 2023 for the elections and beyond. So these are some of the things that are very key as we begin to look forward to after the elections have been fought and won in 2023.
So let's jump right on and take a look at some of the dailies here this morning. And we'll kick off with Daily Times. They highlighting the same matters that we've largely spoken of here this morning. And if you look at the front page of Daily Times, they're focusing on the president's commitment to the general elections and what a lot of people expect from them. There you go. So that is a big lead on the front page. Buhari promises legacy of credible elections in Nigeria, West Africa. So we must all understand that there must be a winner and there will be losers. So that's what it's going to be actually. I know politicians always tell you, I'm going to win. Well, yesterday, you remember, a senator told us that God told him he's going to win. So the thing about that too is, I don't know which of the elections that God told him he was going to, because we had people who have said, okay, well, the point is this, you have to prepare your mind for both scenarios. There will be a winner, there'll be a loser.
Yeah. And God tells you that you're going to win. The question is, did he tell you when? These are some of the questions.
Everybody claims, will tell you.
Yeah.
Well, they also.
It's a possibility that he said you'll win, but you also have to be clear on when he said you'll win. Racketeering at depots worsens petrol scarcity.
Ooh.
That's the lead headline on the front page of Daily Trust newspapers this morning. It is a very terrible situation at the, I don't want to say filling stations, let's say at the gas stations.
But this one is at depots, for instance. And you just want, wait a minute, they've taken it away from the fuel stations now to the depots.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's serious.
Wow.
This morning coming to work, the queues look very serious. They look
not again.
very, very serious. This morning, yesterday it looked like child's play. Today it looked like, serious business. Marketers blame low supply. Depot owners deny hoarding. Stations sell for 300 naira in Kaduna, Kano, Lagos. I know the interesting thing, in those places where it's sold at this price, there will be no scarcity. In fact, there will be no queues. People will just go in and buy, and that will be it. So I think we need to decide quickly what we want to do with this fuel subsidy.
Some people are clearly taking the country for granted. Official pump price is what, 148? And people are selling for, look at that, 300?
300 naira per litre.
What's all
you also have a number of other stories there. Nigerians have enough food to eat, as according to a minister. Which minister? You might want to flip somewhere inside the paper. Federal government begins 14-day paternity leave for workers. I'm sure the men must be rejoicing on this one. Maybe they have set the bar pretty high. I don't know whether the private institutions will be following suit. Paternity leave for workers, yes.
They've got to. They've got to.
Did you hear that?
In the spirit of...
in the spirit of what?
Of everything good.
Attacks on our facilities won't affect elections. That's according to INEC. Well, INEC certainly will take your promise to the bank on this one. Nigeria in perilous times. That's according to the CJN. I guess he must have been speaking at the investiture of the new senior advocate of Nigeria. Congratulations to them, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there for Daily Trust.
Well, take a look at Guardian newspaper with this one. It's different, really. And I mean, about that story on paternity leave. If you've hung your boots, don't go and get that boot again. Just leave it as it is. Don't try to, access this paternity leave. But take a look at the Guardian newspaper. Cyber crimes raise concerns for 30.2 trillion naira monthly e-payments. That's a lot. That volume is a lot. So you'd expect that we need to protect it as much as we can. And take a look at the riders. Nigerians count losses as fraudsters get sophisticated empty bank accounts. And that trend has been on for some time now. You see people from time to time saying they just woke up and saw this alert that their money has been wiped out. They go to the banks and they keep getting, they keep hitting a brick wall until they raise issues on social media. And you wonder, how did that even happen in the first place? You see, dearth of IT staff worsens recovery time in banks. It doesn't have anything to do about the recent move abroad. NCC issues over 9 security alerts since beginning of 2022. Experts seek review of Cybercrime Act 2015. Kick against plea bargain. So it's important to protect your money. Now that the CBN has said, we're going cashless now. So a lot of the transactions will be done online, and it's important to ensure that we protect the monies of people. And after all, that's why you're asking them to bring them to the banks at least. But take a look at this one. It's just the picture there of the Kubwa train station. It shows deserted Kubwa train station. Railways yet to resume Abuja-Kaduna service, and that was yesterday. I recall that the minister said it will begin in November. So this is November the 29th. We have one more day.
It's been weeks since the release of the last of the kidnapped victims, and we still see no confidence in that transport process.
So it looks like, security is really of the essence. 2 days to go. We'll wait to see how that plays out. I'll take one more for you and spoil for choice, but this one, we have enough food for Nigerians. Agri Minister boasts. So I'm just gonna, it's a page 4 read. Let's know your thoughts. Enough food for Nigerians. At what price and what cost maybe? And where is the food, or where are the foods? Well, that's a Guardian for you this morning.
Just to answer you, 5 pieces of the onions now goes for 500 naira. In the past you would buy that for perhaps 100 naira.
And you can't actually just chew onions. Yeah,
you can't chew onions.
It's just.
And how much is a bag of rice? So if the agri minister is saying 50. That we have enough food for Nigerians, at what price? And what quantum of that is being exported?
Okay, that's a Guardian newspaper.
Some key questions to ask about that. Let's turn our attention now to News Direct. There's some rumble on the front page, and that rumble is coming from Osun State. So the Nigerian News Direct leads with, developments in that state. New administration, Osun boils as Adeleke sacks 12,000 workers, dethrones 3 monarchs. Now let's take a look at the riders. Nullifies employment into MDAs, commissions, boards, parastatals after July the 17th, 2022. Suspends OSEC chair, 6 others. Lawmakers fight back. Drag legality of state slogan with governor. OSEC withdraws certificates of return from chairman and councillors. Yeah, so that's that with a big story. I wonder what you make of it.
What
you can send in your comments.
Really, we would like to know. What this does is you realize that after all the back and forth, governance does not really start until much later. That's why, the average politician will tell you for the first term, you maybe have just over a year or so to govern, because the first 1 year is trying to learn the ropes, and the latter part is trying to seek re-election. So just a year, close to 2 years for governance. With all of these things, you wonder, how much time will they have for governance if they have to be doing?
Speaking to the view about when governance starts, perhaps this could be about political difference, given that it's a new administration with a new political party. So you could say that the difference is, the ideological positionings, between
this is not ideology alone,
and the assembly is different, But what would you say about Ekiti State?
Goodness.
All right, so let's take a look at a few more stories before we exit the Nigerian News Direct. Let's go above the nameplates now. You see this one to the extreme right-hand corner. Kaduna, troops raid bandits. Hideouts, rescue 9, recover 90 cows, 4 motorcycles. That's a cheery one. And this one right after it in the middle, trouble looms over massive layoff at Tin Can Port as MSC acquires Bolori. And lastly, above the nameplate, why we named Tassi after Awujale. That's ascribed to the governor of Ogun State, Abiodun. Tassi would be the one of the colleges of education, so to speak. Let's leave it there now for the Nigerian News Direct.
All right, then to New Telegraph, but I mean, there's a statement issued by, I think it's a former spokesperson to the former governor saying, well, that so-called 12,000 workforce, he says, is a purported list that, well, publish the names if really and truly there were about 12,000. So when you see headlines like Oshun boils, so you're like, well, but the former government said they're not up to 12,000, so what's making it boil then? Okay, look at New Telegraph. Travel advisory, why Nigerians should be on alert in US, UK, others. This is ascribed to the federal government. Launches trade information portal. So here's the travel advisory as well. So there you go.
No one has monopoly of travel advisories.
That's the point here. I mean, one other paper says, what? Beware of thieves in US and UK. FG. So it's so close to beware of dog. You see everywhere we go on the streets those days. Sometimes we then graduated to beware of snakes. I'm like, what? What the? Okay, but it's all out there. That's the big lead on the front page of New Telegraph this morning. But unfortunately, ASU, fresh crisis looms over unpaid 8 months' salaries. So again, they're seemingly back to the trenches.
Oh, yes.
But just above this lead story, probably cheery, maybe. Yuletide FG to suspend work on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So people can, you know.
Does it look like they're going to meet the deadline? Because initially the word out was that they were going to try and finish before the Yuletide. It doesn't look like that is happening.
So now that they're suspending this, it means it won't be delivered this year.
So if it won't be delivered, when is the next deadline? We need to find out.
Okay.
So the ministry.
So they'll tell us soon, hopefully. But just beside that one, Nigerians' most litigious people on earth.
Oh, yes.
Ascribed to CJN. I know some of you are saying, but I haven't gone to court yet. Well, I don't know if it's a complaint here because that's how lawyers make money. So maybe he's just pointing and making a statement of fact. Up to you to make of that what you will. But that's what it is.
CJN, when did you conduct the poll? When did you conduct
to show that we are the most in the world,
right? Litigious. But it's better to, as they say, judge than to war.
And who are these people? Are they politicians largely? Or can't be middle class, I guess.
It'll be an interesting poll to see.
Yeah.
That certainly will be an interesting poll.
Let's break it down.
If we're taking our matters to the courts, I mean, that should also be a good thing. It's just that in Nigeria, people say, I'll sue you, take you to court. They actually mean that, you know, you see what I'm going to do to you, you know. If that's what they're saying, though, it's better than for them to take the law into their hands. But take a look at what leadership has on the front page this morning. They have a different take on the scenario in Osun State. And it's couched like this: last-minute appointment, how governors set booby traps for successors. It's wasteful height of political rascality, say stakeholders, CSOs. Appointments in order, government a continuum, governors insist. So it all depends on your take. I mean, even if the workers are not up to 12,000, the question is, did you or did you not, you know, take workers last minute, perhaps after the elections were conducted, etc. Yeah. You know, how many of them did you take, even if they were not up to 12,000? Did you appoint new monarchs? You know, maybe we're waiting for appointments all of this time and you didn't do that. And after you lost elections, you now be. So there are questions to ask. I mean, the intention behind certain actions will certainly be questioned. So interesting take on how the leadership has couched the story this morning. You might want to take a look at it. Last minute appointment, how governors set booby traps for successors. But governors say, it's a continuum. Government is a continuum. Okay? You also see this one, 2023 polls will hold despite attacks on our offices. INEC there reassuring the public that the arson at these offices, different offices we have seen in different parts of the country, will not affect the conduct of the polls. Abuja-Kaduna Rail well secured, Minister assures passengers, okay? And of course, that warning is there. Beware of thieves. Federal government warns Nigerian travelers to US, Europe. Qatar 2022. Yeah. Ghana beat South Korea 3-2.
Way to go.
Cameroon draw 3-3 with Serbia. That is also on the front page. And congratulations to the editor-in-chief of Leadership, who has won Columnist of the Year award. I think it's very well deserved. I mean, I enjoy reading his columns every Friday on the back page of Leadership newspapers. So congratulations to him. Let's leave it there for Leadership newspapers.
Yeah, so on that enjoyable note, we end a look at some of the dailies here this morning. Well, back in just a moment, we'll start with talking about the forthcoming general elections, what you need to know. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, receives the audience, members of the African Union Special Pre-Electoral Mission at the INEC headquarters in Abuja.
Good morning, National Commissioners, Secretary to the Commission.
The African Union delegation is here on a solidarity visit and also to find out the level of preparations for the 2023 general elections.
We would like to hear from you how much we are prepared for this exciting election, how much consensus is there and emerging. We are here on a supportive mission, really, and we are very keen to ensure that we have the best possible peaceful and credible process.
The visit of the African Union delegation is happening barely 3 months before the general elections, and the Independent National Electoral Commission is raising serious concern about recent attacks and arsons on its facilities.
In spite of the progress that we are making, the Commission is still concerned about the security situation generally in the country, particularly the incidence of attacks on our facilities. In the last 3 weeks, 3 of our local government offices were attacked in 3 different states of the Federation. And the last one occurred yesterday in the southeastern part of the country. Now, although there were no casualties, but quite a number of the materials already acquired and delivered for the elections have been lost.
Nigeria's 2023 general elections will begin next year, with the presidential election holding on February the 25th. The INEC chairman informs the African Union delegation that it will deploy the biometric voter accreditation system, otherwise known as BVAS, during the elections, and also transmit polling unit results electronically.
All right, welcome back. Yes, we're going to start off focusing on the forthcoming general elections, as you've seen there with Mr. Mike Igini, former resident electoral commissioner for Akwa Ibom. Say good morning, Mr. Igini. Thank you for joining us today on the program. Well, there are a number of issues that are making the rounds now in terms of the INEC chairman raising concerns about attacks to INEC offices. Then there's the question of security. We've seen the courts really busy with electoral matters, and there's still quite a number of them that are yet to be decided. So now, from your position, having taken a step back, looking at it from where you are, what do you consider as the most important thing that we need to rein in right now as the preparations for the elections continue?
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Thank you for having me this morning. First and foremost, I am very concerned, as always, the attacks on INEC offices across the country, particularly in the area that have been identified. But my greatest pain and tragedy of our country is that sustained attacks of INEC offices across the country over the years, not just this time. I'm worried, Chamberlain, that we have not been able to deal with this situation. Attack on INEC office and attack on democracy. That for several years this have happened and we have not been able to bring anybody to book is the reason why this has continued. Remember that in 2007, this is the tragedy of our country. 2007, an explosive loaded, a truckload with explosive and petrol was stationed, drove into INEC office, headquarters, that is headquarters in Abuja in 2007. The truck has number, somebody drove the truck in. Up to today, we have not been able to do anything on that. So why would people not think that they can, political elite, not that they can get away with that kind of situation? Also remember that the truckload conveyed INEC material on the eve of the 2007 election from Abuja also appeared, and nothing has happened. 2011, we have pockets of this. 2019, we have several of that took place in the country. Today, we are talking about days, 2 months or 3 months to election. This is what is going on at the moment. Look, democracy works on the understanding that all who has a role to play must do so. I mean, look at the pictures that have been shown right now. Same thing happened in 2019 in Akwa Ibom, for instance, where the last place I said before I left the commission, where generators, car readers were all set ablaze on the eve of election. But here is the good news here for the people of Nigeria, that all that is going on, they are intended to discourage you, to make you feel that this election should not take place, will not take place. Let me inform, and I think the commission have done so. INEC has the capacity to respond to these challenges, particularly with respect to the PVCs that have been burnt. INEC has the VIN number of all the PVCs. Assuming, for instance, that those information that are contained in the office that have been burnt, like the one you are showing now, or any other one, they will have those information at the state head office. If you don't have those information at the state office, Abuja also have those VIN number of all those PVC that have been destroyed. It's a matter of days. INEC will produce them. The only challenge we have here is that when you destroy, take away people PVC, thinking that is going to be, it's not going to help anybody. INEC will produce those PVC to those who are to have them. Generators that have been burnt, well, this is an additional cost to the nation because this is a time we needed to manage our resources. We don't have enough. Why should extra-constitutional actors, why should non-legitimized actors continue to attack INEC? This is an attack on democracy. My pain is that we have not been able to track anybody. For 10 years that I work in INEC, we have unable to track those who attack INEC offices. This is a big challenge to all security agencies in this country, that for these years, we are unable to track people who attack our democracy. I mean, look at what's happening in the US. All those who attacked the Capitol Hill on January 6th, they are being brought to book every day. Here, we appear to be in a state of anomaly. That is my greatest worry. But responding, INEC has what we call both emergent and rational plan. Through its own emergent plan, it's going to respond to some of these challenges that have been thrown up. But for Nigerian people to know that power is back to you, this whole thing going on is to see that you are unable to exercise your franchise. 2023, you have a date with history, and that will be made possible by the Commission and all others who have a role to play in the 2023 elections.
Well, a very comprehensive answer you've given to that particular question, because I'm sure that, you know, there were many other questions we wanted to ask from that. For instance, how does it affect the conduct of elections from your experience as a resident electoral commissioner? But you have also touched on that particular aspect. But let me bring you to something that happened yesterday. The president addressing the economic community of West African states and saying he's going to be delivering he wants to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. That's the legacy he wants to leave behind, not just in Nigeria, but also in West Africa. For you, how big an influence would you say that the president of a country has on an electoral process, especially when you already have, say, a body like the Independent National Electoral Commission? Aren't they already, you know, independent? How much influence can the president wield in ensuring free, fair, and credible elections?
Thank you, Mark. I think that the way we should take the statement of Mr. President, which he has made severally at various fora, is to take it from the point of view of the context that as a president of the Republic, who is on his final term, that he will ensure that those agencies that are directly under his control, and of course, INEC is not under the control or direction of the president, by virtue of Section 160 of the Constitution of the Fatherland. I will refer to it, quote it for you shortly. But to land on this point is that you must take the statement of the president from the point of view of a context, that as a president, where election will take place and is not running for an office, his duty is to ensure that all those agencies under his control and direction that have a role to play in ensuring successful election, which are as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, all right, the Office of Inspector General Police, the Army in terms of, you know, keeping the border, not where election is taking place, all right, and all that security agency under his control. He will ensure that they commit to that. And that was exactly what he did, speaking contextually at the Owe 3-day retreat conference conference and retreat for senior police officers from Abia State to Zamfara State, where all the commissioners of police that have been enjoined under Section 91 to provide adequate security for those who are conducting rally procession in the build-up to the 2023 elections. He made it very clear that they must remain apolitical. They must remain firm and committed to democratic values. That as a president who will be leaving and the election is taking place, you know, where he's still in office, he wants the best to be done. With respect to INEC, INEC remains an independent election management body by virtue of Section 160, which says for the benefit of that to all Nigerians, so that you can take the statement of the president in the context, not that he has a direct influence to determine what will happen in INEC. Because that section says that perhaps with respect to other executive bodies created under Section 153 of the Constitution, with respect to the Independent National Electoral Commissions, its powers to make rules or regulation or direct its own procedure shall not be subject to the control or direction of the president. That is Section 160 that was brought about by under the Jonathan regime, you know, the first amendment. So the president is always speaking from that point of view. And I think that he had done so at various fora, which of course you referred to. And in one of our last engagement on this program, I said that that's the kind of thing that we expect from a sitting president, even assuming it's also even participating. Of course, it's also participating to the extent that its own political party will be on the ballot. But we must take the speech of the president and the references he's been making, into account. That is only referring to the fact that he will ensure with respect to those bodies and call it on all Nigerians. And I think that's what we should key on to. So, and not necessarily because it has influence over the president. Not at all, it does not.
Right. So would you say then, Mr. Guinea, that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as it is constituted today, as it is funded, as it operates today, is truly independent?
Ayo, I worked in that system for 10 years. The INEC, from the time of Professor Jega, under Jonathan, up to this moment, the best of my knowledge before I left, remains an independent executive management, but irrespective of the fact that the president, under the Constitution, performing constitutional duty, and that will be done by any other president, makes nomination, takes people to the Council of State, propose nominees to the Council of State, and of course take to Senate to go and confirm. Let me say this, the cock belongs to a man, but his crow, early morning crow, is for the entire neighborhood, irrespective of who appoint INEC that we know of. The early morning crow of the cock belongs to the entire neighborhood. INEC will work good of the people of our country.
What if the man chooses? What if the man chooses to, do what he wants to do with his cock, take it inside, and then prepare a good meal with it? The crow is no more for the neighborhood, is it?
Ayo, as somebody who grew up in the village and in the urban setting, when I refer to the fact that what I'm saying remains the truth. The cock belongs to the man, but his early morning crow is for the entire neighborhood.
But you do agree that the man can choose to do whatever he wants with the cock. But I understand that saying.
Right.
Let's move on to some of the issues you raised, and I'd like you to speak pointedly to it. So if you say that ever since we've been seeing attacks on INEC installations, burning buildings, even attacking INEC personnel as well, and destroying voting materials and all of that, no one has been brought to book. Who is meant to bring those people to book? Whose responsibility is this?
In election management process, it is based on the understanding that all who has a role to play must play that role. INEC does not have its own security outfit. Perhaps I may just want to suggest here, on account of what is continuing to be going on, is that in line with Section 91, which for the first time has now decided to make the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, under Section 91 to assist the Nigerian police in this direction, it may now be necessary that we should now have the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. I think they bear arm at the moment or so to now fully actually be made to work with INEC, in which case, in the 774 local government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our LGA, we may now need to have arms-bearing security personnel, because what we have at the moment are just mere security guards. They are just guards who, most of the time, when those who want to set INEC officers ablaze, they have to run for their life. This is the situation where we are at the moment.
Since we should be asking the security agencies, perhaps the police and others who are charged with protecting about prosecuting and bringing them to book.
Yes, of course, without missing word. That is the job of security. That's not the job of INEC. The job of INEC is to prepare the country. This security has its own role to play. Just like the media. Look at the role you are doing, educating Nigeria, setting agenda, and all of that. Everybody must play his own role.
Okay.
INEC does not have its own security outfit. We need to now have Civil Defense Corps fully attached to INEC.
Well, my colleague Bukola will be coming in soon, just by way of heads up. This is Kayode, by the way, not I.
Oh.
But
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to also point out, because you said that indeed INEC has the vein of those PVCs and all of that, and Perhaps they will be getting their voter cards eventually before the election. But don't forget, Mr. Igini, that INEC had said that, the PVCs would start, they'll start giving out PVCs for those who registered from, is it January to July, in November. 2 days to the end of November, INEC put out a statement, I think yesterday, saying well, they're having some program and they will make a decision on when they will start and the modality after December the 2nd. So clearly for those who have even registered, we're not sure when they will get in. And now for people whose PVCs have been destroyed, what is the assurance that they will get their PVCs? Don't forget that INEC chairman has said there will be no incident form again. So it looks like without your PVC, you might not be voting. Am I correct?
Absolutely right, Coyote, that by virtue of Section 47 of the current 2022 Electoral Act, the use of PVC is both statutory and procedural. You cannot vote without your PVC. If I don't forget the slogan in 2015 election, that no PVC, no voting, that INEC slogan has not changed, not at all. Now, the firm comment I'm making with respect to INEC capacity is based on what I know. But you've heard from the chairman, in fact, from your background intro to this program, it was very clear that the commission will be up to the task. And that I know very well, because the V numbers are already there. With respect to those who have yet to collect, I know, for instance, that the PVCs of people who have registered in the last few months, they don't want to do a staggered distribution process. They just want to have everything together. And of course, from what we've been told, which of course we also discussed before I left the commission, there's going to be a comprehensive process of distribution. It will be seamless. You see, collection of PVC could even happen even days before the election. That's not a problem. The bigger issue is one we have dealt with, the commission have dealt with, that is registration process. But with respect to collection, Kayode, I can, from the little I know, and from the assurance we are now getting, I'm not a guy in INEC though, but from the system we already have in place before I left, which have, to the best of my knowledge, has not changed. There will be a template for seamless distribution of the PVC. All I just want to call Nigerians to do is that you have a date with history. Enough of building individual paradise and living a common hell. 2023, you have a date with that history. The panic around the country by the political elite who are responsible, because look, let me say this here. All these things that are happening, they are sponsored by political elites. They are the one that are orchestrating this tendency that is almost sapping our democracy to a point of saturation. This is where we are. But the beauty is that hope is reborn in Nigerians. They should not be bothered with what's going on. INEC will respond to that. But statutorily, you cannot vote without your PVC. You must come with your PVC to the polling unit. No PVC, no accreditation, no voting in 2023.
Mr. Igini, I'd like to share your optimism, where that is concerned, particularly in the distribution of PVCs, even those that have been reportedly destroyed in that attack on the INEC offices in Ebonyi and in some other states. But then that INEC runs on a budget, so we hope that they will prioritize the enfranchisement of voters, above all other concerns as we approach the 2023 elections. But let's make progress. I'd like you to talk about, some other key aspects of the electoral process, i.e. the court judgments on Akwa Ibom and Yobe senatorial primaries, before the election. I know that in the run-up to this process, you had vigorously provided an interpretation to Section 115 of the Electoral Act. It would seem as if the court has now upheld that. So what's your view, particularly with what options now are available to those who have, by these court judgments, been disqualified from the process? So what are the options available to them, and what's your view on these court judgments?
Well, Bukola, thank you very much. In the first place, we shouldn't be where we are right now, because the whole essence of trying to strengthen internal party democracy was the reason why Section 84, subsection 1 was very clear. And this is what the two different panel of the Court of Appeal, with respect to the cases you reference, have actually affirmed correctly. And if the political parties have agreed to follow the tenet of the 2022 electoral act, we will not be here today. But let me make one point very clear. Why commending the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court for setting up a task force to deal with these huge cases that ordinarily shouldn't have happened if the political parties were, subscribing to the principle of internal party democracy as strengthened by the 2022 Electoral Act. That despite the task force that have been put in place, Bukola, is a serious level of electoral discredit in our country, that most candidates for senatorial, for State House of Assembly, for House of Rep, senatorial will not be known before the 2023 election. Because more of the cases now, majority of them are still at the level of the Federal High Court. In fact, the Akwa Ibom Igbo reference since August, where they moved these matters, judgment was reserved. But what happened? I learned that the judge who presided over, because they have almost in Akwa Ibom, we have about 40 cases there. The judge was transferred to another division. So they have to start all over again with a new set of people. This is where you are at the moment. Now, with respect to section 115, you see, it's unfortunate that one of our own, Mohammed Aruna, has gone public, despite some of us having to call him privately to say, look, the view you are expressing, even going to criticize a fellow colleague in the public, was wrong about section 115, which Channels Television, the first, where on June this year, we had a conversation about this subject matter of section 115, to the effect that every provision, every section you find in the 2022 Electoral Acts is intended to cure a mischief by politicians in our country. And that the background to these sections must be understood. Section 115 intended to prohibit, to discourage the idea of somebody buying 2 nomination forms for different constituency elections. For example, we are in November, right? A senatorial election will be taking place this month. A candidate, an individual buys a form. By December next month, a presidential primary, for instance, will be taking place. How do you now say that somebody who participated in the May 27 senatorial election that was concluded, but somebody participated in the presidential, suddenly now came back again to participate in that same one? What is intended to be cured here is this. There's a time for nomination for sales of form by political parties. There's a time for close of sales of forms. After the sales of forms and you have collected the form, you have to sign it. You fill it and you sign it. After signing, the third stage is a stage where the political party will have to do screening. When they finish screening, they will send the names of those who have been screened. The question now is, as at May, those across the country who are now running from different places to the other, were their names screened and given to INEC, as at that time, the answer is capital no. All right? Now, how come that we were screened for a different election? This is what that section intended to cure. Now, Bukola, let me inform you here. I could see under section 115 what we call illegal drafting. In fact, what I even refer to in my book, either status sabotage or status capture, in the sense that section 115, section D, it has 2 parts because it used the word or, which is disjunctive, that if a person fills a form intended to be a candidate or signs a result form, no candidate in election ever signs a result form. You only sign nomination form. Beginning. Now the question now is the person who signs a nomination form, all right, for this election, senatorial, all right, signed for presidential, he has violated section 115, subsection D, as well as subsection 3. We say that people attempt to do so. Now, let me break it down so that Nigeria can now see the difference between what Mohamed Haruna.
All right, Mr. Guinea, as brief as possible, because we need to wrap up, though.
Oh, yeah. Very brief as possible. You see, Mohamed Haruna, it does not involve, it's not involved in core INEC duty in the commission. He's an auctioneer. He's an auctioneer in chief. Now, the point is that he does not know what is going on. The definition section is quite misleading because INEC from CF001 and CF002 have changed to CF9 and B. Now, those forms are free. It is the form that you buy and you pay 100 million or 20 million as the case may be, are the form referred to under the Act. And that is why, if the idea is that it is somebody who has become a candidate, that you can seem to have violated that section, it means that that section is not intended to do anything at all. It is the form that you have.
All right, Mr. Guinea, we'll definitely pick up from there when in our continuous voter education process. We do appreciate your time this morning, Mr. Mike Guinea, former resident electoral commissioner for Akwa Ibom State. Well, just before we wrap up, we also like to know that the police did hold a meeting, I remember on the 17th of this month, and they issued a communique. So just to remind us that they, after that meeting with the IGP, they ordered that these commissioners of police were to activate ICCES, that's a security platform, and deploy men to INEC facilities. All security agencies are to send their men to their respective CPs to fortify INEC facilities. The communique also reads that the IGP will be coordinating at the national level, and letters have since been written to service chiefs and heads of security agencies to ensure that that coordination is done. So that is the bit that the police is doing about these elections and ensuring that INEC offices and security is guaranteed in the build-up to the elections. We'll be doing this as we progress regularly, time and again. So that is that bit there. But we will be back in just a moment. We'll be talking about the elections again, but find out where in a moment. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily World. Yes, indeed, as you've seen, Chief Davis Abokente joins us next. He is the governorship aspirant for Taraba State APC. Good morning, Chief. Thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning.
Today.
Thank you very much for having me.
It is interesting what's happening in the APC in Taraba State. There's a lot of talk at that position. Who will fly the flag? And there's several court cases now, as it were, because we know that you went to court and the courts now, there's that recent judgment that went the way of Senator Boacha, which we'll get to hear from you what your perspective is about that particular matter. First of all, what are you going to do about that at the moment?
Okay, viewers, thank you very much. As I earlier said, I've been in contact with my lawyers, and we're working towards appealing the judgment to the Supreme Court. At the moment, that is what we're up to. Because if you have judgment from two federal high courts on different grounds, I went to Federal High Court Jalingo on very different grounds. My colleague Senator Yusuf went to Abuja High Court on different grounds, and we both got judgment on different grounds. Therefore, setting aside my own judgment does not really invalidate what we are trying to do, the justice we are trying to get.
But why is Senator saying that they are the same issues but different courts of coordinate jurisdiction, and so it's obvious?
They are never the same issues. They are never. If you read the two judgments, they are on on virtually different grounds. They are not the same thing.
So for the avoidance of doubt, tell us then, what is bone of contention?
Actually, you know, my brother and friend Emmanuel Boacha joined us roughly about 100 days to the primary elections. And we thought his coming would add value to what we were doing. His coming would have been, you come into a house, you meet those who are on ground, you discuss, you find common grounds, and then go into the primary election. He came in as if somebody is coming to take over personal property. Came in, ignored all of us. Mind you, we are 7 running for the elections. 6 of us have been in the party all this while, and he was the last to come. And barely 3 months, just about 100 days to the election. So the bone of contention is that he came in with what we don't understand. Even if somebody promises you tickets somewhere and you come into a party, you ought to work with those you are meeting on ground. You need to find common grounds and work together for the betterment of the party or for the victory of the party. But when you come in as a kingpin and ignores those you met on ground, those who have suffered to build the party, we suffered a lot to build the party.
Yeah, but he says he's been engaging. That he's been, when he came in, because basically when we asked him, it is the same problem which he summarized, that those whom he met on the ground, you know, feel that, you know, they're not, they should be the ones to get right of first refusal to the ticket. And that's why they're strongly opposing him. Is that the only grounds upon which you are opposing him?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all, because like I earlier said, we all, like I resigned from a very big federal government appointment. I was a member of the Northeast Development Commission. I resigned my appointment to come and run for election, to run for the governorship. And then somebody comes, somebody who has been in power for a long time, comes in and underrates us and looks at us as if he met nobody on ground, giving the people the impression that he's the only one that can win election. Elections are not won by one person. Elections are won by a collective effort of a group. And you can't come to Abuja, because politics is about people. Especially Taraba is even a very unique situation. You can't come to Abuja and think you are talking to people, you are negotiating with people in Abuja, and you expect that the people in Taraba will hold you, hold you firm. It doesn't happen like that.
So tell us, what exactly is the bone of contention? When you say he came over and tried to take over the party, what did he do?
Okay, like I earlier said, if by the time he came in, if we had gone in for a primary election and he wins that election in a keenly contested manner, all of us will file in and support him. He came in and tried to distort a process that we had started. There was no primary election in Taraba. I was taken aback. And mind you, I've been out of the country for 1 month. It is because of the bunch of lies that were being told that I had to cancel my engagements outside the country to come in. And I came in yesterday, and I have to honor this invitation so that we can put the record straight. You come in and met people. You have come into a place, you met people. You sit down, like I earlier said, with people and talk to yourselves. Find common grounds and go in for a primary election. I'm sure you are aware there was no primary election. But everybody knows there was no primary election in Taraba.
Is it for governorship or all positions for APC?
I wouldn't speak for the other positions, but I know for us that went in for governorship, we were all in Jalingo trying to, we were even in a meeting trying to find how the best way to approach the elections, since we were one of the states that were detailed to hold our elections by indirect. Suddenly they say it was direct. And direct election has, if it's direct primary, it has its own procedures. You are going to have elections in 168 wards. And in 168 wards, you need police security. You need the contestants who have their agents. All those things we are not cut out for. So we raised the questions. And the Commissioner of Police invited us to find a common ground on how we can conduct the election, even if we mean postponing the election for the next day. Suddenly, we started seeing on social media people queuing up as if it was a coup d'etat. So that's why we're objecting to it. If there was an election, why not? We have had states where party members will sit down and say, look, the candidate coming in is better than us, or we can win election with him. And in that case, would have in Benue it happened. When Otom was to switch over to PDP from APC, he met the people on ground, they discussed, and he won the election. If he's coming to win election for us, and we're sure he's going to win, and in good faith, we will support him. We would have supported him.
You don't think he's going to win?
How can he win an election?
Excuse me.
How can he win an election? Has he been able to even go to the state to even stage a rally since he came into the party? He's being highly resisted by virtually everybody. Yes, there are people he has been able to corner, but I assure you he can never win an election. I was even taken aback when he was saying that God has destined him, or God has told him. Mm-hmm. We're all alive.
Did he tell you the same thing too?
He has said it to quite a lot of people, that God has destined him to be governor. We are watching to see how the God we serve in heaven will make him governor, the way he's handling the issues. If you want God to give you victory, there's a way you approach issues. You don't just come into a place and be as if you are a messiah. We're all into these things.
So if I get you correctly, what you're saying is that there were no primaries conducted. Excuse me, you said your state was one of those initially primed to conduct indirect primaries, but then much later you heard that direct primaries were going to take place. Did you have sufficient room to be able to conduct these direct primaries?
That is what I earlier said. For a direct primaries, there are procedures. You will need party officials to be posted to the 168 wards.
That was not done?
It wasn't done. You need the police to also post security men to safeguard lives and properties at those points. You also need the contestant to send their agents. All this we are not done because we are not preparing for direct primaries. We are preparing for indirect primaries. And suddenly, and you know again, there was even a circular to that effect. The states to conduct primaries were state A, B, C. Taraba was not amongst. Suddenly, they just stampeded us with a direct primary that we were still even willing to hold it if it was going to be possible. That was why we went for the meeting. If we had finished that meeting very well and taken a common ground, we could have done anything the party wanted us to do. And but you know, it's on record. Everybody knows. The clergy in Taraba know. The party members know. Everybody knows there was no primary in Taraba. So we're even surprised that the appeal court will give that kind of judgment. Everybody knew there was no primary in Taraba.
What is, because for people to have gone to court, it means you're not happy with how the party has handled this. What is the latest position of the party or NWC on this matter?
Actually, after the appeal judgment, the judgment by the appeal court, we thought by now the party would have called us. At every point, we've all been willing to sit down with the party. Yes, we are tempted. We even gave leeways. I personally advise the party officials at the national level to sit us down and let's agree on some things. We can't all be governors at the same time. One of us will emerge. What happens to the others? What do we do for the others to make them, to give them a sense of belonging? That was the suggestion I gave. Again, you imagine, he came in, Senator Bocha came in, took the governorship, took the 3 Senate seats, took the 6 House of Reps seats, and took the 24 House of Assembly seats. How can that happen?
What do you mean he took them? How did he take them?
If you check the candidates that have gone in now, they have
provided the candidates.
Yes, he provided all the candidates. And we told him that you can't do it this way. And like I said, we mustn't be governors at the same time. Somebody should be a governor, others can take other things. But he was not willing to do that. I personally suggested to him, in my first meeting with him, I said, look, if the party insists that you should be the candidate, leave the Senate for the various, the Senate seats for the various other people who from their groups will nominate people who have bought forms to occupy those positions. In that, everybody will have a sense of belonging. But he felt, you know, what is happening in Taraba, I don't know whether the APC at the national level really know what is on ground. Because we are heading for the worst situation. And by that, we are giving opportunity to the opposition party that has not done very well in the state. I mean, if you come into a party, I keep saying this, you sit down with your colleagues, you talk to yourselves. I, for one, once the party were showing the interest that they were going to, they wanted him. I don't know on what ground, but if they wanted him, we are party people. We have suffered for this party. We were the people that conducted the congresses, we did the party membership drive, and we paid with our monies. We paid from our pockets. For somebody to just jump in the afternoon or in the evening and wants to take everything.
All right, my colleagues in Lagos have got questions for you. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much, Chamberlain. I really just wonder where or at what point consideration for governance, doing right by the people of Taraba State. I mean, seeing the latest poverty figures and all of that, where those considerations come in this whole process, because it just sounds as though the major players want to take this position, take as much as you can, when there are actually millions of people who are yearning for good governance. And perhaps we'll maybe link this to that this morning, because that's the big picture, really. All of these things happening, if it doesn't impact on the lives of people, then what is the essence of governance? So maybe in trying to resolve these issues, I'd like to know your position on this, because Senator Butcher said pointedly that as at yesterday, he remains the candidate of the APC for the coming governorship election, because I asked him, based off that court judgment, yes, the appeal court, but then the courts in Abuja as well. So do you agree that indeed Senator Butcher is the candidate of your party as it stands today?
I listened to your communication with him, and I tell you, as it stands today, we don't yet have a candidate in Taraba, because we have two judgments, like I earlier said, two judgments from two different courts. One has been vacated, but one is still standing on him. So he cannot even go and start anything and say he's a candidate at this point in time, until he vacates the judgment of the Abuja High Court. Otherwise, he wouldn't say he's a candidate. He knows. And I'm happy he also made it very clear that he wouldn't start anything until the issues in courts are resolved.
Right. I mean, I'll yield this to Bukola soon, but since we've brought Providence into this, and he's quite sure, that God told him that he would be the governor, he would win. I wonder, did God tell you otherwise? Maybe did God tell you, wait a minute, it's not going to be Butcher, it's going to be you. So, because you said maybe God didn't tell him, did God tell you otherwise, since we've brought Providence into this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say God told me, but anybody that wants to be a governor from a start, you will see the features of a governor of leadership in him. I don't think what he's saying is true, because God must have not spoken to him, because God does not go for injustice, unfairness, and lies. God goes for a matter that has substance. So I don't think, maybe he's hearing from they call it the spirit of disarmament, or how do you, spirit of disarmament. It wouldn't be from God. And if God that we worship is alive, I'm sure with time, channels, television, and Nigerians will know whether God spoke to him or not. And mind you, Senator Boyd, this is just a conflict between us, the contestants. He has 5 of us now to contend with within the party. After the contestant, he's going to face the party members, the APC followers in Taraba. After that, supposing he becomes a candidate, he is now going to face the opposition parties. We have other parties that are growing stronger and stronger. The SDP is growing strong. Labour Party is growing very strong in Taraba. The PDP is already there waiting for him, because he has sort of betrayed them. So I imagine somebody wants to be a governor and he's not willing to give and take under this circumstance. So the hurdles he has, yes, they say the way to heaven is very narrow, but I don't think he's on. I'm not seeing any prospect in him becoming governor because of the way he has. He has to contend with the 5 of us that are remaining in the party. One of us left for NMPP. He has to contend with us. After us, he will contend with the larger APC family in Taraba, who are totally against him. And after that, then he will now confront the other parties that are growing stronger. The Labour Party in Taraba is growing very strong. The SDP is also growing very, very strong at the moment. So I don't see him becoming a governor in any way. But, power comes from God. God can decide to give it to anybody. But I don't see that coming as easy as he thinks.
The road to heaven in this context is very narrow, with so many players, trying to maneuver with within the little space. Let's see how it plays out. But, sir, in reference to the two court judgments, you said one has been vacated, but the two ordered a conduct of fresh primaries. What is the position of the aspirants in all of this, yourself, Senator Yusuf and Senator Bwacha, on the conduct of primaries as ordered by the court, particularly within the short time frame that is available to you all ahead of the 2023 elections?
Yeah, he kept saying that if they conduct election 10 times, he will win. I thought when the second court judgment came, would have gone in for, in fact, even the first court judgment, if I were him, I would have gone in for the elections, since he was sure he was going to win if they conduct the election 10 times. I don't think he's prepared to, he will be able to win the primary election. That's why he's trying to avoid it by using the courts. So for all of us, we've all been advocating for the elections to hold. Yes, time is of essence, but if they hold election today, I'm assuring you it wouldn't be Emmanuel Bwacha. He wouldn't be able to win the ticket.
But you keep referring to how he has the support of the party. For whatever reason, the party leadership. Are you worried that given this support base that he enjoys from the party's leadership, that probably they will provide what is necessary for him to win the primary if it was conducted in line with the court judgments?
Except if the primaries will not be conducted in Taraba. If to be conducted in Abuja, then it's a different thing. Things have changed. Our political system has gone through evolution. We are better than it has been in the past. No party at the national level will go and stampede candidates on party faithfuls in a state. If they decide to give him the ticket at this level, which we will contest till thy kingdom come. We will contest anytime they give it. If they won't let them give him ticket 10 times, we will contest it. Let's go and do the election. Once we conduct the election and he wins, we will follow him. I will volunteer to even be his campaign DG if he wins a primary election. Why is he shying away from an election? I think it's very unfortunate. APC has a very bright chance to take Taraba, but with what the leadership of our party is doing, I don't think they are ready to, they want to win Taraba.
Also, the Bwacha says that he agrees with you that the party has a right chance. There's the manner in which you're going about this. It almost appears that, like I said, you're working for the opposition. You're working for the government in power in Taraba State.
That is also an imagination. It's a figment of his imagination. I retired from the civil service as a director to go and vie for governorship. I ran for governorship against the current governor, Darius. I am one of his worst enemies. Emmanuel Bwacha knows that if there's anybody that gave them tough time in PDP, it was me. So how can he be imagining that I'm working for somebody? What has PDP got to give me?
There are no permanent friends or enemies in politics. It's only permanent interests.
Yeah, even with that, what do I stand to gain? The governor has run his 8 years. He's going. And anybody can take over from him. So for you to go to a national television and kept telling people that some people are working for the other party, you need to look at the caliber of people. We have a senator, a former senator, Senator Manzo, who is running. We have the former head of service of the Federation running for this election. I myself, like I earlier said, I retired from the civil service as a director to go and run for election. And I told you I resigned from NEDC as a board member to run election. What have we got to get from the governor who is running his final term, who is having few months to leave the office? And the governor happens to be his friend, his best friend. They started their fight only when they wanted, I think they had their fights when they were trying to do sharing of things. That was when they started their fight. So how can he say people like us will be working for somebody in another party who is somebody whose tenure is even running out? To do what?
Well, he gave us the impression that, because we did ask him, he says, yes, he's speaking with all of you and everybody to ensure that there's a common ground and that soon things will go well. Is that conversation happening?
How can you have common ground when you are from the beginning, when there was still the opportunity for us to have to sit around the table and share some of the things? Take the governorship, if the party insists they want to give you. Give the Senate to the other candidates who may not have bought forms, but they have people in their camps. Like, I have somebody in my camp that would have been my senatorial candidate if he had agreed. But he refused all these avatars. He refused. He took the governorship, took the Senate, took virtually everything, and wants us to go and work for him. How can we work for him?
So right now, as things stand, if everybody were to come together and work together, what should he concede to get your support?
It's too late to concede anything.
Too late?
Of course, the time we gave him to concede, there was still the opportunity for some things to happen. Now tickets have been given to his people. He is carrying the load, a very big bag full of tickets on his head. And he doesn't know where to go and offload them. And he's saying we should go and sit down. What do we sit down and do? My central candidate is there. Senator Yusuf has a central candidate for the central zone. Dr. Manzo and the former minister have candidates for Senate in the north. If he had considered those ones, and some members of the House of Reps seats, if he has considered, would have sat down with him to do the mathematics. And by today, we would have been somewhere else. But he refused all those avatars.
So for you, the court has to sort this matter out?
Yeah, I'm heading for the Supreme Court. As I speak to you, I think my lawyers are around the Supreme Court as we speak. And mark you, I would push this matter to a logical end. I didn't even go to court so early because it's about a week now that the judgment was delivered. I thought by now the party would have invited us. And then say, okay, we tried the last time, it didn't work. What can we do at this point? But the party has not invited us, which means they made up their mind and we will not allow this injustice to thrive.
Did you consult the party before you resigned and went to contest? Did they ask you to go ahead? Did they give you their support?
Of course, when you show interest and nobody tells you anything, and then they even issued a circular that we should go and resign from our positions, and we did. That's a note from the party. That is a note from the party. And again, part of the problem we have is, there was a change of leadership in the party towards the elections.
Yeah.
We have a brand new set of people that didn't know who has done what for the party. Our uncle Abdullah Adamo is a new person. The secretary, they are veterans in politics, but they were fairly new in these positions. The best way to have approached this is to have studied each state on merit and then sit down to know the best decision to take to win election. You can see the number of cases we are losing. The APC is losing a lot of states. Senator Abdullah Adamo has even lost the Senate in his own place, his own Senate seat. He has lost it in court. The candidate they brought has lost in court.
All right. Well, clearly, it's a matter that you say you're going to head to the Supreme Court, and the party has not reached out to you, and that is one way you think that will be sorted. But from the look of things, if this is not sorted, you're not going to support Senator Bwacha at all?
I wouldn't say that at this point.
Oh, okay.
It depends on what the party, if the party were just to us. Again, I'm not the only one contesting. We are 5 contesting against him now.
So, there you go. It's a matter, of course, it's an ongoing concern. We'll keep our focus on this matter as it progresses. But we do thank you for coming on, Chief David Sabokente, APC governorship aspirant for Taraba State. We will be back in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, as you've seen there, Senator Yusuf joins us next. He represents Taraba Central constituency in the Senate. But he, as well, is an APC governorship aspirant for Taraba State. Good morning, Senator. Thank you for coming on today. Good morning. Well, clearly, yes, we do know all is not well within the APC in Taraba, and you have gone to court. But that recent judgment, that was where we started off with supporting, in favor of Senator Boacha. Has there been any latest development? Has the party reached out to you, for instance, because you were in court as well?
You see, Chamberlain, that is our major concern. Since we came back from primaries, we just have few meetings with the party. And in order to exhaust the internal mechanism as required by the constitution of the party, we have written 4 letters, no single response from the party. And the party has not even called us to discuss whether it is at Jalingo or even, in Abuja here. No call whatsoever, no consideration for these people that aspired, to run for the governorship in Taraba State. So we are wondering why is the party keeping mute?
It's interesting that you say that the party, that you have written to the party.
There's four letters.
4 different letters, yeah. and that is significant. Yeah. But, you are a senator of repute, of standing, a ranking senator in the chambers. I would also imagine that you have not just, you have one-on-one relations with the party leadership. After all, one of yours, was the one who was now made party chairman. Have you been able to have a one-on-one with him? Minus the fact that, yes, he's party chairman. Have you exercised your personal relationship to say what is going on? Why haven't you responded formally to our letters? And what are you looking at? How do they plan to handle the situation in Taraba?
Yes, we did. I had one-on-one discussion with Senator Abubakar Kyari, who is the deputy chairman North, and he was the one giving the mandate to sort out these issues of Taraba. We had one-on-one 3 times with him, and there was nothing, coming out of it other than each time, please, this your court case, please withdraw from the court so that we can sit down and talk. I'm sorry to say this. My personal opinion is that the party has already made up their mind on what they want to do, and they want to stick to it. And we know what they want to do is not what is on the ground in Taraba State.
What I hear you say is that the party has set a precondition for them to have a meeting with you.
No, they have not set any precondition other than just, step down, and that is all. Withdraw from the court, and that is all. It is not precondition for us to talk. It is just step down, So, it doesn't make any sense to us, the way and manner in which they were handling the issue.
Okay, so this is where you currently are. Right now, the bone of contention, even though you have gone to court over the fact that, whether or not they were primaries conducted in Taraba State, the APC governorship primaries. But it would seem that the bone of contention will be how Senator Boacha came into the party and, for some people, took over the structures of the party. And some people will say, well, how did that happen, one? With you people right there. How did you let that happen, one? And then two, some people will say that at the end of the day, those are matters that you cannot really contest in court. Whether or not he sat down and had a conversation with members of your party are matters that you cannot say you're going to go to court and contest.
You see, Maope, a lot of misleading, things came out in the sense that when you defect from a political party to another political party, it is expected that you are coming to add value. Senator Emmanuel Bacha did not come to APC with one single defector from PDP. I challenge him. I have the records. Not single from even his ward. Most of from his local government or from his zone. How can you say you are coming? If you are coming, come with value. Don't come to get value in APC. Come with your value. He did not come with a single person. I have the record. So what is he coming to do? Which structure is he talking about? Emmanuel Bacha has no single structure in Taraba.
So how did he then take over the structures of the party?
It is conspiracy of the leadership of the party. Pure and simple. Mistakes were done by Senator Abubakar Kyari, who took all the election materials handed over, to the chairman of the party in Taraba State. And the chairman of the party, instead of calling us, as aspirants, to sit there, well, here are the election materials. Let us work on it. They decided to hand it over to Emmanuel Bacha. That's what happened, pure and simple.
So why does he then claim that he has grassroots support, that Taraba APC is fully behind him?
I don't see any grassroots support for Emmanuel Bacha. Emmanuel Bacha just have 5 people behind him. I don't have to mention their names here. There are 5, almost 6. So he has no grassroots support whatsoever. I say it
5
categorically.
5 or about 6 where? Is it at the national level or at the state level?
At the state level. People who thought, they want to be kingmakers, and they didn't know that times have changed.
Are they officials of the party?
No, they are not. It's only one of them that is the official of the party, and that is the chairman. And even the chairman, has a minority followership. Today, he has only 5 members out of the state working committee. All the remaining 11 are not with him. More so about non-working committee. He has 26 members of the executive of the party, are not with the chairman. So which support? Which base? I cannot see any.
So how is this then happening? That if you say that you are in the majority, that even with your majority, you are not able to surpass or suppress or let the will of the majority prevail?
I tell you this simple. That is why they couldn't do any election. That's why they couldn't do any primaries. The election materials that were handed, the result sheets were left in Abuja. They were left in Abuja. That is why they could not do any primaries. Let us go and do primaries. He said even 10 times he's going to win. Why is he running away? Let us go. Let us go and test our popularity down there.
But when you say that, he doesn't have any support, sometimes you have to say that sometimes politicians can be extremists. It's either they are really extremely optimistic or they're extremely pessimistic. This is a sitting senator we're talking about. There is no way, unless, of course, you're suggesting other things, there is no way that he could have won an election if he did not have some support at the grassroots. And it's not just any position. He is a senator. In other words, he has to win 1/3.
Which election are you referring to?
The election that brought him as senator.
The 2019 election.
Indeed.
Well, that is PDP. The
elections were conducted under the APC.
No. Yes, what do you call it? When he becomes senator under the PDP, for me, from the record that we have, it's laughable for even Emmanuel Bacha to say that he has support. He has always been rewriting results. That is why for the first time, Emmanuel Bacha is being tested. He is testing election for the first time. He has never, I said it here.
These are grievous allegations you're
making.
Yes, I do. You know why I say so? Because, this is a sitting senator.
Yeah.
Unless you're also accusing INEC of conniving and helping him write results, which, made him senator. That will be, something that will certainly question the process, which throws up even your own elections.
I agree. All what I am saying is that, I've been a senator twice, APC, in a government-dominated PDP. So, he's from PDP. I'm in APC. So who should show a lot of, popularity?
But tell us why. I'm very curious, because one of the things that our earlier guest suggested was that the party leadership wanted Senator Bwacha to come to the PDP. The question is why?
To come to APC,
to come to the APC from the PDP.
Yes.
The question is why? Why do they believe that, for whatever reason, you can tell us, why do they believe that those within the APC might not be able to, deliver the votes that will be needed to maybe take over Taraba State? Why did they need
This
Senator
is a
Bwacha?
very, very good question. They have been misled. They have been misinformed.
By who?
By people like of Emmanuel Bacha and the rest of them, because they believe he was the deputy deputy minority leader in the Senate. And a deputy minority leader in the Senate, you know, one will think that he will command, you know, a lot of followership, you know, back home. But they have been misinformed. He is not on the ground as far as APC is concerned. He may be in PDP, but even in PDP, why did he leave if he was on the ground? Somebody, you will go into congresses without a single candidate of yours. Imagine. So in what way has he been, you know, a popular candidate?
Have you had any cause or to place a call to Senator Abdullahi, the party chairman, after he was a ranking senator, you were a ranking senator?
Yes, we had 2 calls. After that, you know, he stopped picking my calls, and therefore I stopped calling him.
Was there any suggestion that there was going to be a solution, or he was stuck with the party decision of not reaching out?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's up to him. I mean, if formally we have written, we look for him, you know, on telephone lines, and then, you know, he's not forthcoming on that. Even the Senate, you know, caucus, we met with him, we called him, we met with him, and the Senate caucus said, look, Abdullah, why he even apologized. He apologized there that he will look for us. He has never called me, neither did he call any one of us. So, I mean, it's a matter of mindset. Abdullah Adamu has made up his mind that it has to be Emmanuel Bacha or nobody for APC in Taraba. And we said, no, what is on the ground? We are on the ground.
Let's bring in our colleagues who are on ground in Lagos.
Thank you.
Go ahead, guys.
Indeed, we're on ground in Lagos, Chamberlain. I'd just like to get your, I don't know, it's now perspective right now, because it looks like the law is still being decided. So we'll just have to rely on what, you know, each of the major players are saying. And, you know, that court ruling, was it November the 15th, that ordered for fresh primaries to be conducted. Judging by the calendar, it should be around this time that the fresh primaries will be conducted, or should have been conducted already. And I wonder, what is the position, what's the situation with the fresh primaries that the court ordered? I don't know if you can hear me.
Well, I can hear you now.
Right. So I was asking particularly about the fresh primaries that the court ordered that should be conducted by your party. And I mean, that court ruling was around November the 15th. And looking at the calendar, it's been 2 weeks already. So the primary should have been conducted, or should be conducted maybe today, maximum tomorrow. Is that still going to happen in obedience to the court order?
No, last day for conducting the primaries was on Sunday.
So that means...
And as far as we are concerned, the 14 days have lapsed. So it's either, you know, are expecting that they will go for appeal, or they have sat up on their own right, but or in the disobedience of the court. So we are waiting for the party to call us. My lawyer have written to the party to tell them. So we are expecting a response from the party, but there's no single response from the party up till this moment.
So, I mean, I hate to imagine that anybody would want to disobey the court, because it was clear. The court actually gave 14 days from that judgment for fresh primaries to be conducted. So, by the way, it's meant to be the national, the NWC, that will institute the primaries process, am I correct? And nothing was done from that level.
Nothing was done whatsoever.
So I wonder, are you worried now that what if your party is not able to field any candidate in this coming election? Is that a possibility you're worried about? Is that something you're working towards, perhaps inevitability of that?
You see, it's very, very worrisome, you know, for the party to lose this golden opportunity. You know, we believe, you know, 2023, you know, it's time for APC to win the election in Taraba State. I mean, even earlier on, we need so there were some malls that were planted, you know, in APC to make sure that APC, you know, did not win election. So as far as we are concerned, we are ready any moment from now. If the party, you know, so feels that, you know, it wants to sacrifice, you know, Taraba, so there's nothing we can do. We'll only follow the legal means. And we are ready to follow it until the end, until the Supreme Court. So it is up to the party, you know, to call us to say that, look, come and sit down. I mean, they cannot wish us away. You cannot wish a senator who won election on 2 terms in APC. You cannot wish, you know, another senator, you know, Senator Manzo, who was even our ambassador. You cannot wish former minister. You cannot wish, you know, His Excellency Kifasi, who was head of service. You cannot wish Chief David Kente, you know, who is one juggernaut, political juggernaut in APC since 2016. So, I mean, it's really, it is a mess, you know, how the party can sit down and think that, you know, it can do whatever it wants to do, I mean, without consulting with the people, you know, at the grassroots in Taraba State.
Senator Yusuf, you just confirmed now that the party has not initiated the process, you know, for the primaries to be conducted. Does that also, you know, authenticate the position that also expressed by, you know, Senator Sabo Kente earlier on, Mr. Sabo Kente rather, earlier on, that the party is in support of Senator Boache's governorship aspiration bid? Senator Yusuf.
You see, from the beginning, yes.
Go ahead.
From the beginning, you see, the party, in my own opinion, has been partial. Even the way, you know, they conducted the primaries, even the way they selected, you know, the membership to go and do, even the way the membership of the committee, you know, said while answering question at the airport that it is a declaration. So there are so many things, you know, that was not done right. Instead of the party to say, well, let us go and do the right thing. If they do the right thing, I mean, I will be the first person as Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, go and, you know, go and meet the winner of the election. We saw what has happened in Adamawa State. Senator Binani, as senator, you know, she conducted her, I mean, the party conducted the primaries free and fair. All what we want is go and conduct free, fair, and credible election, not to run to the airport and answering reporters' questions, you know, at the media, saying that you have how there was no declaration of result whatsoever anywhere in Taraba State. He was answering reporters' question. Is that declaration? So what are the points? What are the marks? What are the grades? What are the votes that each and every one of us got? And then who won? Such things did not happen whatsoever. There were not even affirmation or ratification, nothing whatsoever. Is that how primaries are done? I'm even surprised, you know, even Senator Emmanuel Bacha, a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, will succumb to this kind of, you know, situation and say that there was primaries. I'm even amazed.
This is currently what you have right now. Some people will now say that you know, even though your party now has a good chance because the current governor is not running again, he has finished his second term, and right now, how do I put it now? You will see that the slate is clear, so to speak. There is a clear slate for whoever it is runs from whatever party to be able to win the election, so to speak, in Taraba State. Looking at what you currently have, are you prepared to lose that chance again? Or do you think that perhaps maybe amongst the contestants, those who wanted to be governor of Taraba State within your party, do you think that you could come up with a political solution that could see this through for your party? Because otherwise, a house divided against itself will certainly not stand.
Yes, it is only the party that can initiate. I cannot go and initiate, you know, a movement. Let the party call us. Let the party sit down with us. The party has not done that whatsoever. So what are we expected to do? We can only rely, you know, on our own rights and privileges in the court. If the party said, look, come, let us find a political solution. We started it. Even after the primaries, we had meeting with Abubakar Kari, with the National Legal Advisor of APC, with National Organizing Secretary, with the Deputy National Woman Leader, in the presence of even the chairman of the committee, Chief Onochukwu. We had meeting where they even decided to say, why can't we go into consensus?
But
So
Senator,
we had that, but the party, you know, abdicated, you know, its responsibility.
and one other question that comes to mind is that, wait a minute, if everyone says, all of you that are in court saying there was no election, so what did INEC monitor? How did INEC then accept this? How did INEC come to the conclusion that there was election and then they accepted results?
Chamberlain, thank you very much. You see, the documents before me have actually proved that the INEC in Taraba did not do the right thing. I have documents before me. I cannot talk like that. They didn't. Have you ever heard they will do affirmation at the ward? These are the documents before us. And how can you have documents where there are no returning officers? How can you have documents where the returning officers were false? How can you have, you know, documents with people who you just put their names? Some of the names they put, you know, are people who are even dead. So we have documents before us, for God's sake. Very, very clear, credible documents. We have even extracts of, you know, affidavits, people who come and say, look, we are not being informed. The party was not, only two people, the secretary and the chairman. The party structure was not even aware there was anything like that. It's very, very clear. The documents are there. So I cannot come and sit down, you know, before the world and say that, you know, there was election when there wasn't. That shouldn't be me.
Well, it raises more questions concerning the INEC and how they do what they do, for instance, that of Taraba. But it will be interesting to see how the courts decide on this matter, which is where you gentlemen have said you're taking your cases to as we speak. But we thank you for coming on.
Thank
Senator
you very much.
Yusuf, representing Taraba Central constituency. Yeah. Also, APC Taraba governorship aspirant. So all eyes are now on the courts to see what happens thereafter. And we wish you all the best, Senator.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Well, let's take a look at some messages quickly coming from you. Festus says about the APC in Taraba State, says they're fighting a civil war within itself. And the intriguing infighting may keep them out of power in the state. The party is currently a house divided against itself, and it cannot stand. Hope they will heed the sound theological advice and reconcile quickly.
Well, Professor Nakena says our political elite and leaders must ensure that INEC has a conducive environment to function with finesse and dexterity, while lives of its officials aren't compromised by electioneering bandits and political career criminals working to subvert the people's will. That's from Professor Enakena.
And from Olagunju Oladele, voters' perception of our environment is shaped by their experiences and expectations. INEC's journey, in bracket Electoral Act 2022, voter literacy, etc., over the years came with a mixture of optimism as we look forward to new and unfamiliar experiences. Well, I tell you, a lot of unfamiliar experiences will feature in 2023 elections. Well, thank you for your messages. And that's the way we wrap up this, the edition of the program this morning. Thank you for watching. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
I have a short prayer for you. In all that you do today, may you get petrol, right? I'm Kayode Kikelu.
A very valid prayer. Because the petrol situation tire apart.
Honestly.
Here in Abuja. Thank you so much for watching this morning. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
May we all get it right as a country.
Amen.
I'm Chamberlain Yusuf. Goodbye.